Welcome to CAAT TV, where culture speaks. Stand by.
We basically protect the waterways, control the poisons and things that are going into the waterways. That would be the Delaware River, the Chester Creek, Ridley Creek, and so on. So that's our job. That's what we were formed. But we were formed by the city of Chester. So the city is the municipality, and they formed the authority. The reason they formed the authority was because they didn't have the funds or the finances to do the work themselves. So the municipality is able to form the municipal authority, which is the Stormwater Authority.
Okay. So having said that, again, I'm asking for the people because they have, came to me and asked me certain questions. So I just want to get clarity on that because I don't know if it matters or not at this point, but they said there needs to be a plan. So did all of the towns that were mandated to have a plan start a stormwater authority? Is it just for the city of Chester? How did other towns handle that?
Yeah. So the and can you guys hear me? Okay. So in terms of the kind of the law behind it, and Bruce, feel free to jump in. Anybody here on this is anytime that a municipality has to discharge water into streams, they need to get a permit from the federal government, from the state. In order to do that, they need to do something. They need to submit something called a pollution reduction plan, or a PRP. And so whether that's the municipality or whether that's a stormwater authority, they need to submit that to the government. And what that pollution reduction plan says is, it says how much they intend to reduce the pollution. It talks about the projects that they need to do in order to do that, and they estimate the cost. And so what happens is when you submit that to the government, they review it, and then they issue you a permit to be able to discharge water into those streams or into those waterways. So it's referred to as a PRP, or a pollution reduction plan. I think, Bruce, the initial pollution reduction plan was something that the city had done before the Stormwater Authority.
Absolutely.
But the stormwater, if you form a stormwater authority, you don't have to, but if you decide to do that, if a municipality decides to do that, or a group of municipalities decide to do that, the responsibility is to follow that pollution reduction plan, and then every 5 years, you submit information on your compliance with that, or your how much progress you've made with that, and then at the end of that 5 years, you have you get another permit. Now, where it is in the government right now, I think that's been paused right now. The permit process has been sort of, you're still operating off of the initial pollution reduction plan. It's nothing to do with the Stormwater Authority. It's just the federal government hasn't sort of re-upped those licenses. But that's my understanding of the background. If that's the same with you all.
And I'll also add that one of the primary reasons that the Stormwater Authority needed to be formed was because the infrastructure here in the city of Chester was very old. The inlets were crumbling. The whole system really needed an upgrade, and it was something that financially the city just could not afford to do. So having formed the municipal authority, they would be able to set up a structure where they can get funding to replace, and many cases here in the city of Chester, replace and repair, and also relocate. And there were even some storm drains that had to be installed completely brand new, just because there wasn't anything in that particular area to help drainage flow.
Oh, were you going to say? Oh, okay. So you're saying that it was necessary.
It was necessary, and the inlets that the city formerly owned now are assets of the Stormwater Authority.
Okay.
So the city doesn't have any responsibility to maintain them because they've essentially sold them to the Stormwater Authority as a part of their responsibility to maintain, upgrade, and replace as needed.
Okay, thank you. Not really, but you can ask one.
So can you clarify when you're saying an inlet, you're referring to the drains in the street and the waterways as
Okay, you got to stand up, please. I'm sorry.
Sorry. When you say the inlet, you're referring to the drains and the streets and
The catch basin.
that you're-
And I'm so
Yes.
glad you asked that question, because there's a huge difference between what you hear us say and what we say and what you understand, or what you interpret by what we say. So that is very important to add context to exactly what an inlet is. So to your point, yes, if you go to your corner, there's a little drain part. When it rains, all the water you'll see. In most areas here in Chester, I think that's a fair statement, that the way that the roads kind of pivot, they allow that water to drain right down into that. But those are the proper names for inlets, the technical term.
Okay. Thank you. So again, we just wanted to start at the beginning, right? We wanted to just say, okay, how it was formed and why it was formed. And now, I think a great place to go would be to differentiate the board, because we're mentioning the board and then we're mentioning management. So can we differentiate the board and the management? Anybody?
Sure, you want to speak on the board?
And I'll speak as a former board member. A lot of the conversations or discussions that will come to us will be things that management identified as needs, issues, concerns, the like, that they needed approval from the board in order to make that operational change so that the work of the Stormwater Authority could continue. So it could range from personnel issues to grant applications to, Bruce is going to talk about the management side. So there were a variety of different things that would come across our table as things that needed board's approval, based on the setup of most organizations. So we have other municipal authorities here in the city of Chester, the board being one, Chester Water Authority being another, the Housing Authority also being one. All of these municipal authorities have boards, and their boards are the authorizing, if we will. We have to look at a structure. The management would notify the board of what the needs are, what needs authorization, what needs their stamp of approval, and then the board members would digest that information, make sure that it's in line with the governing rules and responsibilities for the organization, and actually and then make the best determination on how to move forward with what management has identified as a need.
Okay, thank you. And we're going to ask some more questions pertaining to the board later, but we're just going to do the distinction right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
That key distinction is corporate governance, right? So the board's role is governing by way of policy and setting the budget. And then from there, once the board sets the policy, the clear intentions on how we're supposed to move as operators, then he leads the pack to carry out that operation. So that's the distinct difference. Boards are governors. So.
Okay. Do we have any questions? Please stand up to the microphone and podium.
My question is, how do you select your board members?
So currently, the board members do not appoint board members. So the board members are selected. Absolutely. Board members do not appoint board members. And I know that's a misconception because a lot of people feel that board members pick and choose who should be on our board, and that's not the case. And I know currently now there's an application process that you can fill out at City Hall to become a board member, and that is approved by council and mayor. And to be honest with you, I don't know if you watched the meeting yesterday, but they currently, council had appointed a new board member to to the Stormwater Authority board yesterday.
I actually don't live in Chester. I'm
Okay.
a former resident of Chester, but I'm still concerned about what goes on in Chester.
Absolutely, that was a great question. Appreciate it.
Just one thing to jump into when you Andrew has in his portfolio there the Municipal Authorities Act. So this is the law that governs authorities, right? Not just the Stormwater Authority. Oh, Bruce got it now? Okay, so yeah, so I won't read it over there, but it's in Pennsylvania law, right? So in terms of kind of like how a board is set up, what the composition is, how they get appointed, all of that applies to not only stormwater authorities, but also water authorities, sewer authorities. It's all set in Pennsylvania law, and it should apply throughout the state. So for the stormwater authority, it was an entity that was incorporated by one municipality, City of Chester. Sometimes you'll get joint municipal authorities where a couple of places will come together and they'll jointly decide to do a stormwater authority or a water authority or something.
Chester Water are perfect examples of that.
I'm not sure if Chester Water, I slightly disagree with Chester Water Authority. Certainly Delcora.
Chester Water Authority, and it was after the fact, after the original. So that's where the argument goes in. So that's like
Microphones, please. Microphones, please.
Yeah, I would say the Chester Water Authority is slightly different. We'll put them aside. That's the unique one, but totally agree with Joy on Delcora. But for a municipality like this, so it is the incorporating municipality. So it would be the City of Chester's governance. That would be mayor and council who would appoint those. And when you have a single municipal authority, which Stormwater Authority is, you've got 5 board members. So it's all set by that law.
Stand
Sure.
up, please.
Okay, so my part 2 to my question is that you said that you put in applications for a board member, right? But how do the residents know to put in an application to become a board member?
We gotta assume that mayor and council advertises that.
I'm sorry?
We'd have to assume that mayor and council advertises that, but that's out of our scope. So what the takeaway from this is, we have no power over that. We all found out who our new board member was with the public yesterday.
Well, I don't have any qualms about who, I just want to know how do the residents get that information? To say,
Right, it's definitely a city, they would have to,
On the city's website, they typically have postings for vacancies. So if there is a vacancy, because the city doesn't only appoint to the stormwater board, but they also appoint to Chester Water Board, they appoint to Delcora, they appoint to Housing Authority Board. There's the Redevelopment Authority. There's a lot of boards here in the city of Chester. Not all of them are governed by the Municipal Authorities Act, but there are a lot of boards that the city has full autonomy to apply to. So most of those vacancies will be listed on the city's website. But to the residents that are watching, or anyone who's watching, who may be having difficulty finding out how you can apply to become a board member for any of the boards that the city appoints to, I would say reach out to mayor and council directly and say, hey, we need a little bit more transparency on how you apply for a board when there's a vacancy, and how we can get access to applications.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Great questions. So from this so far, one, it was necessary. Yes.
yes.
So, I mean, again, what I'll say is here I'm not trying to disagree here. The need to deal with stormwater for Chester is absolutely necessary.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
So that's all we want to know,
Yep.
because there were some people that would say it wasn't necessary to form a stormwater authority. But when you're saying that there was inlets and there's infrastructure issues and all that, then the argument is it was a good thing to do for the city. Another thing I think I would like you all to clarify, because some people are saying, why couldn't Delcora do it? So why couldn't Delcora be the stormwater authority instead of the leaders at that time forming a new water authority?
Well, the short answer, and I'll let Andrew piggyback because we don't represent Delcora, but I'll say if they wanted to, they would.
And for a long time, they were charging for it.
Okay.
From what I was not a homeowner during the time.
Okay.
If you look at your bill, there is a EPA fee that your bill is broken down very well. Pay attention to your bill. Look at some of your past bills, and maybe what Andrew is alluding to, you'll see there. But the long short for me is if they wanted to, they would.
I mean, I concur with that statement, but also we have to realize, and I don't know if most of the residents understand, but it was a combined sewer system.
Mm-hmm.
So that's stormwater and sewage going all in the same pipe, going to Delcora's pump station. It only could hold X amount of whatever's going in there, and then it would back up into the Delaware River. So just imagine you got stormwater, you got sewage, raw sewage and things like that, and it's not being able to reach the pump station because it only can take so much, and then the rest is going out to the river.
Okay.
And that's a very important point, because if you walk along the trail, the walk trail at the waterfront, you will see a white rectangle sign from Delcora that says COS, to let you know that it's a combined sewer outflow, I believe. Combined outflow system. I know it was something. But it warns you not even to do any activities in the waters after storms, because there is the possibility of pathogens and other wastes being in the waters because of the fact that there's so much storm water that flowed out into that combined system. It has to go out somewhere. So there's one along the walk trail on the waterfront. There's another one at Dock Street where the Public Works building is for the city currently. And there's even one in Upland. But I believe there's 3 total along the Delaware River. But I know for sure where the locations are that I mentioned today. You can go and see the sign for yourself.
So
Okay.
Please go ahead.
So what I was going to just add to what Joy was saying earlier, she mentioned about how the system is dilapidated. They have terracotta pipes, which are old. I mean, they've been there for years. And the size of them are too small to handle the flow of the water that's being handled, right? So part of our job was we came in and put in new pipes, bigger pipes to handle the flow. We also, I want to say this, that I know Chester does not get their drinking water from the Delaware River, but there are places like Philadelphia and places like New York who get their drinking water from there. So just imagine how you would feel if you found out that this sewage or things are going into your drinking water and you get drinking water from it. So I mean, it is a necessity for the stormwater, the work that we've done, installing new outfalls. We also have separated some of these combined sewer systems so that some dedicated pipes are for sewage, but there's dedicated pipes for stormwater as well. So it's not mixed. And we're in the process of, making those changes, and we have done some of those changes. So I just wanted that to be known.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I just wanted to throw in here, and again, I know we're having a good conversation here, but there may be different opinions on stuff as well. And your question was, why couldn't Delcora do this, right? I think Delcora could do a fair amount of some of this work. I really do. Whether it's trying to undo the combined sewer, that is something that they could potentially do. The decision to create a stormwater authority was the city's. The city at the time decided to do that, as Bruce said, in 2016, and took action in October of 2016 to do that. But again, and I'm not a perfect expert in all of this and what all the overlay is. And again, I don't mean to say that, because again, there's folks in here who do this every day, but I do think there are things that Delcora may be able to do, that the Stormwater Authority also does. So I just put it out there.
Okay.
I think that they're assets to one another. This is not to say that Delcora is the bad guy or anything like that. I certainly don't want that to be the takeaway from this. They may have had other projects that needed their attention, needed their funding at that particular time. So it was more of an asset for there to be a stormwater authority that could directly focus on that particular issue, so that they could do the work of focusing on the issues not only affecting Chester, but other parts of Delaware County. So Delcora, they could have done it, absolutely. There's going to probably still do more things as the years progress, but now that we have the Stormwater Authority and you're able to take on some of the burden, take on some of the load, I think that, again, it's just a compliment to the overall services that Chester is able to render to its residents.
And I will say that we have an excellent relationship with Delcora. They have helped us out and we've helped them. And they're tremendous partners. So not to take away from anything that they do, they're a tremendous help. And, yes, they could do the work that we do, but obviously the city saw a need for the Stormwater Authority.
Okay, we have a question.
So the Stormwater Authority was established by the city of Chester, so that you could separately go for funding to complete these infrastructure projects that were needed for the city overall,
Yes.
correct? So could Delcora, as an already established entity, go after that funding as well? Or did something new and specific need to be established since Delcora's mission is wastewater management?
Yes.
So the funding that you're speaking of, all municipal authorities, municipalities have access to go for this funding. So it's not just dedicated to the Stormwater Authority. We just happen to be awarded those funds and all those grants and loans that they awarded us that. So we applied based on the projects that we submitted. And it's a very strenuous, strict process as well. So that's how that happens.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Could I add to that?
Absolutely.
So the other piece to that is, so we got to go in scope, right? So Delcora is a sewage system, right? And the stormwater, let's say, part that they have is because they are on the combined sewer system, right? So two things to understand about Delcora. They pay by volume, right? For every ounce of water that gets treated, Delcora's costs go up. So when fresh water comes into the combined sewer system, Delcora is paying more money to treat effectively fresh water, right? In order to go after the loans to upgrade the infrastructure, it's who owns the infrastructure. The city of Chester could have said, here, Delcora, take our stormwater infrastructure and upgrade it. But then the question becomes, well, would the sewage experts be the best persons to do it, right? And then secondly, would their scope be that they're gonna take the time to pay so much attention to Chester when they are Delcora on the whole Delaware County? So the city of Chester said, instead, we'll establish an entity that we have that we know will focus on our infrastructure individually and look at our infrastructure as a holistic approach and make a decision that's in the best interest of that infrastructure. And that is what occurred for the processes. So in short, could Delcora have done it? Absolutely. They could have. And it more than likely could have been a conversation if the administration at the time sat down and worked out. But that predates all of us.
Right.
It's not gonna happen.
Right.
Okay. It just sounded like you were saying that Delcora could have done it and chose not to, but then you followed up with they weren't the experts, so we could have been in a worse place if their focus wasn't on waste management and fresh water. So we would have more issues along, in the future. But also with that, it also sounds like you're saying that the city of Chester would have had to create an additional partnership with them, which would have gave them dual control, which would have created another issue. And so now you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, that this separate entity that was appointed by the city of Chester is what appears to be a better solution because it's your sole focus and it solves the infrastructure issue, which is all over the city. And understanding that with the inlet, the terracotta piping under the ground, without having those outlets and without all of that going to the Delaware or to your neighboring creek, that would be backed into your houses, and most houses still have terracotta piping, which cause different issues. And we're talking about hazardous homes on top of the environmental concerns as far as air pollution. So it's a full circle. It's not just about stormwater management. Overall, we're talking infrastructure and how do we move forward.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I knew she wanted to sit on this. She knew she wanted to sit on this panel. Right. So thank you. Right. This is what we're talking about. Piggybacking, having those conversations and having folks understand what exactly is happening. Right. So thank you all for that explanation. Now we're going to go ahead and take some of these questions because some of them you answered, but I'm still going to just ask them anyways, just so we can get clarity on them, because you mentioned that there was a fifth person that was just appointed to the board, right? And that was one of the questions. It was just like, okay, if those other board members that were just removed, left 4, then the board was not in compliance. So now they have a 5th person that was selected that you all just found out about yesterday.
Correct.
And that, I guess some of the city people didn't know that there was a process. And I guess that might be another issue, right? Do we have a name? Is it okay to mention the name or no?
The name was publicly mentioned. It's Munir Muhammad's son.
I think his first name is Zaman. I don't want to mess his name up. I believe that's his name.
Z. Muhammad. Yes. Okay. Okay. Ahmed. I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. Zaman. Zaman Ahmed. Okay. So that's a younger resident.
Absolutely.
Delcor employee. Yes. Okay. So there you have it. There's a younger person that was appointed to the board. I guess that gives some balance. Because I know we have some elders on the board, and then you have. So I guess the question now is, when is the term up and what is the process? So I just want to make sure we, just have that part of the answer now.
So you want to know when his term is up?
No, everybody's. So yes,
So-
what the term limits and all that. Yes, please.
So I don't know the actual everybody's timeline. I do know that the secretary, Joan Neal, I believe her time is October of this year, which is next month, of course. And then I believe Livia Smith, who is the chairwoman or chairperson, hers is up next year around this time. And then Mr. Shelton and Mr. Riley is later. I don't know the specific, the years.
Yeah, I do. So I actually do. Not by I do. So the way these boards work under again Municipal Authorities Act, right, is the board membership is staggered. So what happens is you have one person rolling off the board each year, and then somebody new comes on. The point of that is so you have continuity of information, right? You don't want a completely new board comes right in, isn't quite sure what they're doing. So there was a vacancy that was just filled yesterday, as Bruce said, and then there is another vacancy that will be coming up, as Bruce said. I think it's October 28th of this year. Then October 28th of next year. After that, the term should actually start on January 1st. So that's kind of the way the Municipal Authorities Act is actually required. The city did it a little bit differently, but at least for the current board right now, for the current members, Mr. Ahmad's is different. He's going to be and they're terms of 5 years, so he is going to be on for a 5-year term starting now. But I think going for, I forget. Don't hold me to it. I have it written down somewhere. But each board member, as they roll off and a new vacancy comes on, it's 5 years, and it starts basically on January 1st.
Okay. And who determined that time frame?
So that's according to the statute. The law says that's what it is.
Just so folks can understand, because somebody might be like, "That's a long time. Why? They have so many years on there." Okay, so it's statute.
By law. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So again, these questions are not in any particular order, so we may be jumping from one thing to another. Flooding on 9th Street. So we know that 9th Street has been an issue before the pond, and we know the last rainfall, there was, folks with their cameras saying, "Hey, it's still flooding," and then later that evening, it was gone. So talk to us a little bit about the 9th Street flooding.
So I believe you're referring to 9th and Harwood. So that particular time, we received an abnormal amount of rain, like 2 days worth of rain in that short period of time. All right, and I'm gonna be honest with you, nobody's system is gonna be able to handle that amount of rain in that short period of time. But the good thing is, I hope y'all understand, the good thing is that shortly after it went away, which means our system is working. In a normal rain, that would not happen. So that is basically what happened. I hope everybody can understand that, because when you get it was almost like a 2 years rain at that one moment, and no matter where you go, no one's infrastructure is going to be able to handle that amount of rain. at that particular time. And that was just an unforeseen circumstance.
Okay, and to add on that, because that's here, there's seems to be some new flooding that's happening.
Okay, can you tell me where?
There's new flooding on 9th Street. Why is there still flooding on 9th Street? And then there's new flooding in different areas near the pond. Near the pond.
So,
This
okay.
is
So if
9th
it's
and
9th
Ingle,
and
maybe?
Ingle, all right, and be totally transparent, our VATCOM is the machine that we use to suck out the inlets, the pipes and things of that nature, has been down. And we just got that back Tuesday. And we know that 9th and Ingle is a priority, so we will be out there to take care of that. Also, people may be referring to 9th and Meadow Lane. 9th and Meadow Lane is where Upper Chai, Lower Chai, Market Soot, and Trainer's water comes in, right? Now, we did put new outlets there, inlets, right? We put new inlets there, but there's a culvert there that takes this water from those townships. And that's the water that was actually landing in Memorial Park, Veterans Memorial Park. And now it goes into the pond. We also receive Chester Township's water from their area. So in a nutshell, Chester's at the bottom and we receive everyone's flow. And this is why the pond, the retention pond, is so important, right? And so now that's captured. We do know that there's an issue with the library. So the library's parking lot floods, right? And we've been called out there several times. We've tried to VATCOM their inlet there that they have in the parking lot. Number one, we don't go on private property, which the library is private property, right? But someone has, as far as I know, it's private property.
There's
So-
some tax revenue exchange, but it's not the city's asset.
So someone has poured concrete or blacktop inside that inlet, which affects it. So that is a thing for another time. That's not our responsibility, but we are trying to help them. So those are the issues that I know about. I would also say that if residents see flooding in their area, please contact us. Let us know, because if you have any type of issues, please let us know and we'll send someone out and we'll take a look and see what's going on so we can fix that.
I think
Okay.
a huge fix also is understanding that the amount of trash and debris that end up in these inlets, they have catch basins in them. So if you think about your dish sink, the strainer that you may put in your sink to kind of catch any food while you're washing dishes or anything, that's kind of what the catch basins do. And they're catching, chip bags, cans, leaves, food, just imagine anything that ends up on the ground that doesn't make it to a trash receptacle, or it makes it to a trash receptacle and gets knocked over, and then there's rain. All of those debris end up right there at that inlet. Some of them sometimes sitting on top, so you'll see the guys out and they'll be sweeping off the top, and people think, oh, that's all they do, sweep off the top. They're trying to keep them clean and clear so that when rain comes, the system operates optimally. But more importantly, it's the catch basins that also have to be emptied out. And when Bruce was talking about the VATCOM has been an issue for the city of Chester for years, because the city only had one. The city had a street sweeper. I think they had a VATCOM once upon a time.
They did.
Delcora has a VATCOM, but the stormwater has one VATCOM for the entire city of Chester. And so if we're sucking out dirt, oil, trash, all this stuff, it breaks down. Bruce, you could probably just on one hand, no, maybe two hands, count how many times the VATCOM is broken down or needs to be repaired, which is an exorbitant expense. Those machines are not cheap. They're very expensive equipment. But I think being mindful of anything that you, I don't want to say intentionally, but sometimes, people might go out and pour things into the street. Be mindful of those things, because those chemicals really do clog up the system and make it difficult for it to operate the way that it needs to in major rain events.
Thank you.
as does trash.
Yeah, trash.
Right, which is the major thing, right? And we have a world now where there are plastics that break down, get rained on forever, and they still maintain their integrity. So one chip bag, one piece of plastic gets covered over an inlet, and now that inlet is down like 50% capacity, and then it starts filling up like a bathtub, and everybody's angry, but nobody thinks about how it's a chain of reaction, right? You throw that trash out thinking nothing of it, like, oh, Chester's dirty anyway, right? And then one, it's harder to get clean, but two, it breaks down all of the infrastructure, right? And that's what causes potholes and cracks in the blacktop and stuff like that. It's flooding. And the flooding comes because the dirt and the debris is covering up the inlets. It's all playing in together, and we're the ones suffering.
Wow. Thank you.
I'll tell you another little thing.
okay.
Since it's getting to be fall time, another pet peeve of ours that really causes a lot of problems is leaves, right? Some people blow their leaves and set it on top of the inlet. Sometimes leaves aren't being picked up properly, and they form a mat. And that mat will not allow the water to flow, and that water will find a way to go somewhere else, and that cause flooding. So, just be mindful when you do your yard. Don't put grass on top of the inlet leaves, because that does cause a problem.
You guys hear that? Don't put trash out in the streets. No leaves covering your outlets, because it's all a big issue, right? And again, not many people have that part of the conversation, so you have a responsibility, Chester, to help out here, right? A lot of times we talk about what they can do. What can you do? So think about that, right? And that's one way. There's a couple ways that folks can help. The machine. Is there grants or anything that can be written to get more than one machine? Is that a question for you all here?
Yeah, I haven't seen a grant that we're able to purchase a machine.
Okay.
Not for a VATCOM. So,
Okay.
In a perfect world, yes. But in the world we live in,
Okay. Well, I know there was loans that I'm hearing about, and I'll ask about that in a second. So I guess I'm wondering, why wasn't that maybe in the package if that was something that was needed?
great question. So we're going to talk about loans? All right. So I can leave with the bottom line up front. The VATCOM came from the loan. The one that we use right now is part of the loan, right? So a lot of people mention about loans, but so what is a loan in effect? It's money. And what happened to the money? Mm-hmm. Well, so Bruce earlier spoke about a number of things as far as explaining on the pipes that got to get upgraded, where there were small pipes that had to get upgraded to larger pipes. And he also spoke about how the catch basins were getting repaired. I believe he mentioned about an outfall being created to separate from the combined sewer system, right? All of these infrastructure upgrades, they came with a price tag. Everybody mentions about the loans, but nobody correlates that those loans go directly into the infrastructure. So for every dollar of loan, there is a correlating either piece of infrastructure or equipment that goes along with it. Now, some people might say to yourself, well, how do you know? Well, because we were able to withstand a Penvest audit. They did an internal audit. So Penvest is the organization who gives us the dollars for infrastructure, and they audited all 5 of our project tranches over the span of about a year and a half. Mm-hmm. Every single dollar was accounted for and showed that it went into the infrastructure. So all of those infrastructure upgrades and those VATCOMs and the street sweeper and the trucks, not the trucks. So stop just there. Those were the ones that were in the project cost for the loan. So it was part of the plan. As a matter of fact, the plan was adjusted to ensure that those things were in there because the original plan did not include those things that we knew we were going to need.
Right.
So bringing it back to the holistic approach, right? The engineers looked at it as well as the management at the time and said, what things will we need to ensure that we can carry out this system in perpetuity? And that's why the VATCOM came and got approved. That's why the street sweeper came and got approved. Because we knew the city of Chester only had one. Now we have 3, right?
Okay.
Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, I think a big thing that the community may have a difficult a time connecting with is the fact that the infrastructure that was replaced, repaired, and upgraded is underground. It's not something you can actually see.
Right. Yes.
And so people are looking for, I don't see them doing anything.
Right.
The work happened underground. Unfortunately, it's not something that you can see on a daily basis, especially now with, the wear and tear and just age of the infrastructure that has been replaced and repaired. If you look down there at the inlet, you might think it looked the same,
Right.
but it's a whole new ball game underneath it. Underneath the hood, you really get in there.
For sure.
So-
It's a real game changer.
And you saying that, Joy, that's a good point. Obviously, people can go to our website, check out the pictures when we've done projects. You can see us replacing pipes, things of that nature. But we also put in filter boxes in some of these new catch basins, right? And these filter boxes, they have sponges in there that trap about 99% of the debris, oils, all these different minerals
Those toxins.
that help stop these poisons from going into the waterways. So people might not see them, or people might look and say, "What is that contraption?" But we have filters, and they're named after us as well. So
I want to
Yeah,
make
no,
sure.
no, 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 no.
I want to make
No,
sure BJ gets a check.
y'all are going. So in terms of in terms of the loans and just kind of talking about kind of the overall dollar amount, right? So it comes at a cost, though, right? So just to throw some numbers out there and facts out there, and again, just to put it out there, and this is not criticism of everything. This is just kind of what happened. The initial pollution reduction plan was around $1.25 million. The Stormwater Authority over these years in grants and loans spent about $43 million. So that's a lot, right? The pollution reduction, and again, I'm not being disrespectful about any of the stuff that they're spending it on, but that's a lot. And most of that, I think around $33 million of that was in loans from Penvest, which you have to pay back. So a fair amount of what your bill is, right, when you pay it, is actually paying back those loans. So not to say that any of the infrastructure wasn't good, right? But I will use my role as a receiver, right? So I'm over the city, right? We've got a lot of capital projects we need done around the city as well, right? We got bridges out, we got roads that need to be repaired. We struggle sometimes with saying, look, if you borrow money out there, can you afford it, right? Because then you got to pay it back on taxes. So I think to the extent you've heard some criticism more on my end, right, or at least kind of words over here, it's not necessarily about the specific projects itself. It's that there were a lot of projects that were done, right, and that comes with a cost, right, and that's reflected in your rates. So. Again, just not trying to take issue with anything any of the folks are saying up here, but
No,
that's
this is
the
all
flip
true.
side of that, yeah.
All 100% true. So to piggyback off of that, because we've had this conversation with our engineers, right? Because again, all of this kind of stuff, it predated us, right? These are things that we learned in the process as well, right? Nobody on this stage was around when these original decisions were made, right? So we all understood this. So when it was originally done, 1.5 million, right? It was heavy in cost for street sweeping, right? It didn't include much infrastructure upgrades. So we all can agree now that we're experiencing storms now, rainstorms that we've never experienced the level of intensity, right? And I know about 4 years ago, we watched Vine Street flood out where it looked like a bathtub, right? And Chester at the lowest point. So I just want to point out that although it was a significant increase, it absolutely was. The 1.5 was inadequate as far as the ability to withstand infrastructure upgrades. It would not have done it. It was what was in place, and the law says that we were supposed to follow it, and they did not. They changed it. Whoever it was, I wasn't there, right? So I understand what he's saying. But I also want to add context that from an engineer and stormwater solving perspective, the route we went ensured that we didn't kick the can down the road and cause longer term problems, and our being responsive would have cost more to get done what we did right now. If we had to just did it in bits and pieces in 5 years at a time, it would have cost us way more through cost of labor. We benefited from economies of scale. We benefited from a lot of things by doing it at once. And yes, it did drive the price up, but it took care of a problem that was looming. Chester's the oldest city in Pennsylvania and one of the oldest cities in the country. And we had an infrastructure that reflected it. And no, we did not change everything we needed to change, but we put a dent in the effectiveness of it. And as far as outcome percentages go, we were supposed to improve it by like 20% every 5 years. We've improved it like 400% for one creek, 186% for another creek. So he is correct. It was definitely more. But instead of thinking in terms of more, which is what his job is, and I respect it, I want to appeal to in terms of necessary. Did we do something that was necessary to upgrade and improve the quality of life of the citizens here, the home, and the infrastructure? And that answer is unequivocally yes.
Thank you. We have a question.
So my question is, it appears that it takes a lot of manpower to clean these, what you call them? Inlets. Okay, so I have a two-part question. So my two-part question is, the workers that you have, are they stormwater employees or are they employees of the city of Chester? And it's whichever way it is, are you hiring? Because I know there's a lot of young folks that possibly need some employment.
So our employees are stormwater employees only. We don't employ city workers, and our workers don't work for the city. So they have their workers, we have ours. And currently, we do have 2 positions open. We've put out in the newspaper, they're out on the job sites like Indeed and things like that. So we did place those out job ads or ads saying that we're hiring. So we've been doing several interviews. So yes,
There are residents out there that are young with CDL and want work. Please apply.
correct. So it's CDL is a requirement. I mean, it's a plus, and it's a requirement for one of those positions. But the other position, no, you don't have to have a CDL. You must have a driver's license.
Thank you. Okay. Yes.
All right, so I hear from the management perspective, the benefits and the services that you're providing for the city. I hear as within your role, your responsibility and your view of it as a resident. Whose responsibility is it to pay the stormwater bill?
That's for me. Yeah, I'll let you.
So the bill goes to the homeowner and the business owners. So to give you a little bit of background, so we bill based on our standard unit, which is called an ERU. The E is equivalent, R residential, U unit. It's based on 1,139 square feet. That is what the engineers at the time determined as the smallest parcel in Chester, right? And they said, okay, we're gonna set that as the standard rate. So that locks in the resident to the lowest possible rate, right? Then corporations, industry, businesses, right? They are a multiple of said ERU, right? So 1 point something and up, right? Anywhere from there's properties that have 563 ERUs, right? That means that they're billed 563 times the normal residential rate. So you can imagine their property is massive. It's all based on square footage. Residential rates have a flat rate, and it's only to the homeowner. So if you live in your house and you're a renter, you will not ever see a stormwater bill. Sidebar, there are ways that
So I made one correction because it's not based on square footage.
square footage of permeable, right? You're right.
'Cause I don't want
You're
anyone
right.
to say,
No,
"Well,
you're sure right.
business is X amount." I want to make sure we give them
Thank
the
you.
right
Yep,
information.
absolutely. It's 1,139 square feet of permeable surface.
And let them know what that.
Impervious. That means so if we build based on the amount of water going into the stormwater infrastructure. So if you have concrete, it's not going to absorb in that, it's going to wash over. If you have rock, crushed gravel, it's not going to absorb in that, it's going to wash over and go into the infrastructure. You're getting billed for that. If you have grass, dirt, land, you do not get billed for that. So we only bill stormwater for parcels that have houses on it, some kind of infrastructure on it. And if it is no infrastructure, but it's concrete, then you still get it.
Say structure.
Structure, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes, structure.
Some follow-up questions to that. So in the city of Chester, there are a number of vacant
Vacant
saying.
property.
Vacant lots.
property.
Yep.
Not
Yes.
properties, homes.
Yes.
Who's covering those bills?
So if it's grass or dirt, they don't have a bill.
Okay.
If it's some kind of concrete, crushed gravel or something like that, the owner of the parcel.
But no one owns it.
Oh, okay. So if no one owns it, and are you saying it's on the city's parcel?
You see these homes with these red tags, right? The ones that need to be demolished.
So it
They're all over the city.
if there
Okay,
so
houses-
just because a house is up for demolish doesn't mean it doesn't have an owner. But the properties that are not owned, I'm guessing I'm assuming you're talking about properties that are owned by the city on like a repository list.
Correct.
The city is not, they do not get charged stormwater fees because then that would be like a double
Right, but
thing.
who's paying?
No,
Because it's
no,
still-
so nobody pays it in general, and as because nobody pays it, everybody pays it, if that makes sense.
And so the other piece of that is you have this. What does the infrastructure? We're calling it infrastructure, right? The tools that are helping us monitor how much water usage is going out from our individual spaces into your bigger inlet. Is that how it's being tracked?
No,
All right,
can't-
educate me.
So one
we
thing,
don't track the rainwater.
We can't track the amount of water or rainwater that your property is draining off. That's why
Right. That's why we have flat rates.
flat
Yeah.
rate. But one thing too, and I'll save that for later because I don't want to deviate off the question.
So everyone is being charged a flat rate.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's what I was trying to.
Yeah.
Everybody-
But so every homeowner or business, well, so businesses get charged a flat rate. It's just a multiple of said flat rate.
So each
The flat rate is
homeowner-
still one ERU at $32 every 60 days, right? Businesses are a multiple of that. So they might be huge. So they might be 53 ERUs. They might be 23 ERUs, but they're still getting billed based on that same flat rate.
And so, just so that I understand correctly, as a homeowner, I would be getting charged a flat rate
Of one ERU.
of one ERU.
Yes.
Also understanding that part of this is to pay back the loan for the infrastructure and the necessary
And the continued
equipment
maintenance.
to maintain non-flooding, right?
But yes,
Because
correct.
that's the problem. This is why it was established.
Yep.
Now moving forward, to continue to maintain that and understanding the state that the city is in as far as bankruptcy
Mhm.
and the poverty level across the city, the lack of homeowners in the sense of occupied homes, what does that look like? I know it has to be paid regardless, but how are we encouraging people to live in the city, remain in the city, own homes in the
Yeah.
city? To me, adding these additional fees to then try to encourage people, because we have so many home buyer fairs, we have so many people that are going from, or the goal is for them to go from Section 8 to homeowners. How are we encouraging them to procure these properties, remain here, and make it affordable when we already know the quality of life already?
Yeah. So I mean, there are a bunch of programs in place that do that. The one that's the most notable I know of is CCIP, right? And they buy houses at market value, they rehab them, and then they use grant dollars and put people in the system as a first-time home buyer program, and then they sell the house to them at a under a less than market value rate to encourage home ownership, to grow the tax rolls, and that organic approach is the way to grow it. It is. As far as our rates, well, we have the benefit of that we're not taking out any more loans and we're not changing the dynamic of our operations. So we don't need to grow to or increase the rates to sustain. Every time we make a payment on our loan, effectively that loan gets less that we owe. So we're getting out of debt. And as long as we're not going further into it, we have the ability to control and maintain our rates.
So is there a foreseeable future where the amount that's due for the loan is totally resolved, as well as the rates that homeowners will have to pay will be resolved as well?
Yes. So the longest standing part of the loan has maybe 24 years left to pay.
There was something that she just almost as though you were saying that the $32 fee could be a deterrent to people wanting to buy homes here. Just clarify that for me, because I want to make sure that I'm understanding you.
So I'm thinking about the average household income in the city of Chester. The, let's call them poverty issues that we're attempting to overcome. The idea that in order for the city as residents to become successful, we need to own the homes that we're in and not rent. So if I already can't afford it as I'm renting, I then would incur an additional bill. So that could be a deterrent. And I'm not saying $32 is the issue, but $32 for the next 24 years on top of something that already needed to be fixed. So some could say it really wasn't my problem, but it's everyone's problem. So I get it in that aspect. But if it's new to me because I wasn't paying this bill, the homeowner was, how are we, navigating this?
Yeah.
And initially we talked about, or you guys talked about, it being for the benefit of the city, which in many regards I do agree with. But at the same time, for the benefit of the city, understanding the financial crisis that we're in as a whole, what is the authority doing to reduce the overall loans that was taken out so that it's not solely on the residents to pay? Be it $32 or not.
Yeah, no, I think that it's a loaded question, and it involves a variety of entities. We're always going to have a city tax. We're always going to have a rubbish tax. We're always going to have school taxes. We're always going to have a Delcor bill. Closely going to mimic your water bill, because those are in that which you were talking about previously. The cost of living, eggs aren't what they used to be. Milk is definitely not what it used to be. And this was a necessary thing, and I understand if I'm hearing you, I understand how it created an additional bill where people may not feel like they needed it, but it was needed. Rubbish was recently increased by $50 last year in the city of Chester. People might feel like I don't put out that much trash, but it was needed. Trash costs for collection and disposal increased. And I'm only using that as an example because that's one of the most recent things that the city had to increase, just because of the cost overall. As we continue through this process of receivership, bankruptcy, both Chester Upland School District as well as the city of Chester, there are going to be those moments where there are going to be tough conversations about what's needed, what we can no longer manage at the rate in which we're paying right now, or what we're billing right now to tax owners here or property owners here, and vice versa with the school district as well. So I don't want to say brace yourself, because there's going to be an increase probably, right, across the board. And I'm not saying that this is definite. I'm just saying cost of living changes. Rent goes up because expenses on maintaining the property increases. But I think we have to look at, is it working? Am I getting what I'm paying for? And with this most recent project in particular, the retention pond, I think that the city of Chester as a whole has gotten a recreational space that was previously underutilized because it flooded. And now is a place where people can actually see the trail, walk around it, and it's working.
So with that, because I want to jump in and ask some more questions. With the pond, people see it. Oh my goodness. Some people, it's beautiful. Some people saying, is it really working? Others say it's unsafe. I heard some people saying that, the gates are too short. Kids are going to get in there. Who's responsible for that? If somebody goes over and something happens, like who's responsible for that?
So I will say this, as far as responsibility of the pond, as far as someone getting hurt, I didn't really. I would refer that to the solicitor.
Okay. fair. So if anybody has that, because I've heard it, right?
Oh yeah.
I've heard that, forget how nice it is, does it work, and who's responsible?
I would say that's the same sentiment that could be echoed for every waterway in the city of Chester,
Mhm.
because you can literally walk into the river, that very bridge park. Chester Creek, you can walk into. I've walked into. Took pictures there. See people fishing down there. So there are many waterways that have access points that don't have any fencing at all. So we need to be mindful that while we're exploring these questions, which are valid questions, I'm not dismissing anyone's question, but we need to make sure that we're being fair. And we're looking at every single entryway to water here in the city of Chester and making sure that we understand accountability and our responsibility as guardians and protectors of our children to ensure that they're not doing things that could be considered unsafe.
Thank you. Because I think that's fair. That's a fair answer. Because again, when I was asked, how is it? I'm like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I used to play softball there, and then we couldn't because it was flooding. So now you can walk around, you can do things there. So when I visit, I like to go there myself. But again, I know that was a concern that people were bringing up. Okay, so you guys are doing good with some of these questions because
With some of them?
Huh?
With some of them?
No, I mean, I mean, with some I didn't ask yet. Like, I just don't have to ask certain questions because you guys already hit them, right? So for me, that is phenomenal. But I do want to, because you talked about the rates, you talked about why folks are paying the bills. And I know that, again, some people were telling us stories that there's an exemption letter or exemption. I guess some people are exempt from paying Stormwater Authority. Is this true or untrue?
That is untrue.
That is
The
untrue.
only ones who are exempt from paying Stormwater Authority are the houses who are land with just grass and dirt and thus not triggering a stormwater bill.
Okay. So I just want to make sure because that was one of those.
Can I ask another qualifying question? Sure. Does the city of Chester as an entity count as a business? Because the city of Chester as an entity does not pay stormwater fees.
This is somebody else's question.
Yeah. So the city of Chester as an entity does not pay stormwater fees.
Okay.
So they are exempt.
So other businesses.
And that was because they provided the infrastructure that was the seed.
Got it. So, okay.
Right.
So no other businesses are exempt from paying.
Right. Any other business that's not paying is because they're not paying, not because they were exempt.
Not because they're not getting billed.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
It's because
so
they're
with that,
exercising their civil liberty to say, I'm going to continue to incur this obligation and ignore the bill.
Okay,
right?
So, and I guess that's why the next question, right?
Okay.
So some people are not paying the bill and saying, I don't want to pay it, right? Just like some businesses may. And they're getting liens put on their property. So is that happening to the businesses also or just the residents?
No, so absolutely. As a matter of fact, there are very few actual residents that have liens, and there are very many landlords who are businesses that have liens.
Okay, because I wanted to, kind of clear that up because there's
so we
conversations
can't
out
by
there.
law parse, pick, or choose.
Okay.
There has to be set standards per resolution.
Okay.
So to give a little bit more information, so what has the Stormwater Authority done to protect residents, right? It was the board's clear intention that they wanted to make sure that residents were protected.
Okay.
So when you get a lien, the only people who are going to have to be concerned with any kind of issues of losing their property is because you have done something very egregious in that, like, you are not a resident that just lives in your property, you're a landlord, and you have multiple properties that are delinquent in stormwater fees, then you're going to be at risk, right? Okay. If you are a person, a regular everyday person, and you live in your property, before you will get any kind of issues, you have to incur like $5,000 worth of back stormwater taxes. To put it in context, right now at our highest rate, we charge $192 per year So go ahead and do the math and find out how many years it would take to get to 5,000. And then ask yourself, if you didn't pay for that long, were you a victim who lost their house, or were you, I won't even finish that. You get it.
We're keeping it light, right? We're keeping it light.
Also to say, if you haven't paid your stormwater bill and you decide you want to sell your home, you have to pay that bill.
Because that's the lien, right?
Right. And they'll clear the lien on the sale,
Okay.
and there will be no harm, no foul.
Okay.
Nobody got kicked out.
Okay.
Nobody lost. So this is not a predatory practice. It's a business practice.
Okay.
We don't want your home.
No one
We don't
does.
want to take someone's
Right.
home. That's not what we're trying to do.
You just want them to pay their bills?
Because
Is that what we're
imagine on
hearing?
Monday we take you home, and then I go and bring my kids to the CAAT Center on Tuesday. Now I'm a social pariah, right? That's not the
That's not the case. Okay, so just a few more, if y'all are okay with that. Transparency. How can residents access financial records, board minutes, and meeting minutes from the authority?
So great question. I mean, it's on our website. So you can download on our website. You can look up the board meeting minutes, any information that you want. If you don't see it there, then obviously if it's something that's not up there, you can do a right to know request. And
Okay.
that form is on our website as well. We have so many different avenues now that we're implementing. We have a Facebook page, we have Instagram, we have LinkedIn, we're getting into YouTube page. And these are being monitored daily. So if you have questions, you can interact with me and ask me, and you definitely get a response. And you can do the old fashioned, pick up the phone and call us. And we'll go from there.
Do you guys live stream your meetings? Do you guys do that?
Currently, as of right now, we don't. But that is something that we may possibly start doing.
And the last two were live streamed from the audience.
CAAT TV.
Nice plug.
The last two were live streamed from the audience.
Yeah.
Can I add one more thing in for transparency? Because I want to sing his praises because he don't, right? So in the past, we did not do a great job at all at making sure that the community
Right.
we have to own that. We know it, and it's a fact, right? It was a miss. When Bruce took the executive position in the Stormwater Authority, one of the very first things he talked about was making sure that we open up those lines of communication. Since then, we did the Juneteenth festival. We had a table set up. That's going to continue to happen. We're here right now doing this, right? This was time that was set aside to ensure that it was done. Bruce has sat down with the previous receiver, Mike Dowry, and just continues to build pathways and bridges to try to open up lines of communication and get past this past cloud that we have had, because we are here and working, and the goal is very much to be transparent. And if you judge him off of the way that you've been seeing the things move over the last year, you'll see that he has made tremendous strides in opening up that transparency. We didn't have social media. Now we have social media, and it's monitored. You can reach out and ask questions. Our board meetings were not normally publicized. Now we have printouts that get handed out when people come at the top of the year. Every year we're handing them out to the customers. We're doing inserts. So transparency is not something that you can just flip a light switch on. It's a process, and he has been working every aspect of that process, like very much consistently. And there's fruit to it. You can see it, right? There's something.
Well, thank you, Bruce. I know. That's give credit where it's due, right? Okay. Maintenance plans. What ongoing maintenance plans are in place to ensure that the stormwater system is functioning effectively? Did we kind of touch on that earlier?
That was a lot of the PRP.
Oh, hold on now.
So let me throw. All right, yeah, this is good. This is helpful because this is a good conversation, and I don't mean to sort of take over as the MC over here, but so couple of different just thoughts over here as I'm hearing some of this again, and I'm as someone who's not a customer but is kind of paying attention on this. So, I mean, I will say with the Stormwater Authority, they do a very good job of putting minutes up on their website. Absolutely do. The most recent audits, all that is on there. And I think that is to be absolutely commended. in Delaware County, you don't always get transparency. And I just talk generally, right?
Yes.
Around again, just to kind of be straight. I do think just on my own, I think one of the things that was done pretty soon under receivership when we were with the city was that city council meetings were live streamed, and I think that's really helpful to do, and that's sometimes in some ways also helpful for you all, right? Because everyone's like, "What's going on over there?" I didn't, like, if it's recorded, it's like, go, I sometimes happened to me. They're like, the receiver said this, and this. I was like, well, it's on tape.
Yeah.
You can see it. Yeah, and I think that's something certainly helpful for you all. I think just as someone who's kind of, again, responsible for financial issues, not necessarily for the Stormwater Authority, I think the couple of questions that are out there, right, going forward is there a need for you all to raise rates in the coming years, right? Not putting you on the spot right now. I'm not asking you to do that, but some information over there. Like, we saw some letter that the Chester Water Authority sent to Delaware County saying they may have to double rates before the end of the year. Now, that's a little bit of a surprise to all of us, but having something out there that says, okay, here's our capital plan, here's what we expect to be doing, for something like this is capital intensive as a Stormwater Authority, having some type of like 5-year plan out there that says here's where we're going to go. This is what we expect rates to be able to do, and those are studies. You all know that. I mean, this is something the public may not know. Is there entities out there that will do these rate studies? That's something that happens. The other thing I think that would be helpful for me to know, right, as we're thinking about this, is there's been a lot of capital projects, right? We talked about all the money, all the things that were built. The thing with these things is you got to maintain them, right, over time, right? That's the big question, right? So anytime you see a pollution reduction plan, there's the cost of the actual project, and there's something called O&E, which is like, I forget the name of it. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is, Andrew. So I tried to sound smart, and I totally forgot. Thank you for picking me up. Yeah, O&E. Basically, it's like your annual maintenance costs, right? And so having a good sense of, like, kind of how those capital improvements are doing, again, would be something that I think would probably be helpful. Again, just going forward, not putting you on the spot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, to add to that, when we talk about rates, and the fact that people are understanding, okay, we have this bill, and you're saying that part of this bill is paying the loan back, right? But we're not talking about the operating expenses of the entity. And if you're looking at, okay, we still have to maintain, and if there's future projects, are you guys going to take out loans, or are you going to, look for grants? Because it seems that the residents are the ones responsible for any loans that would be taken out of. So do you see that in the near future, that you all will start a new project because it's necessary, and what would that look like for the people?
So right now, we don't have any plans for a future project.
Okay.
We're still looking at, monitoring things and seeing what's going on. But I personally am not looking to do loans. I think we are going for grants. That's the more efficient way.
Okay.
I think we've reached this status now, especially with Pinvest, that we can get grants. So
Okay.
that's the way that we want to go.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I know that you all answered quite a bit of questions this evening. And I'm pretty impressed with, the knowledge that you all are exhibiting here this evening. And I'm sure whoever's watching this will gain knowledge. I mean, again, you can't make people understand if they don't want to, right? But I don't know if you all were okay with the answers that they provided tonight, but I know I say thank you for that. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for being open. Thank you for dialoguing with each other when it was necessary. I just hope that we can continue to have these dialogues, because you said, we're having, we may have this where people can just see from CAAT TV. Oh, did he say that? We can cover the meetings so that you can keep this transparency, right? Because a lot of times people say, why are you here? Why are you here? How'd you get in here? Are you genuine? It's just like, are you doing the job? And are you transparent? And are the bills getting paid? And we just want to ensure that the people are not paying for anybody's mistakes or, and I think that was kind of what people were understanding, that there was mistakes made, things didn't go right, and now the people are paying for it. So we just want to make sure that folks understand that they're paying for something that they need, not because of, something else. I think that's. So again, I thank you all for being here. Can we please give them a round of applause? You guys were amazing. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on CAAT TV. It has been amazing tonight, and I think that everybody should be pleased with the answers that you have received tonight. If not, you can all just visit their meetings. When do you have your meetings? Can you tell the people?
So our next meeting is
Second Tuesday of the
absolutely. So it'd be October.
Second Tuesday every other month.
October 11th.
So October 11th.
So the second Tuesday in October.
So October 11th,
12:30.
2025, 12:30 p.m. If you have more questions, you can meet them in person. So until then, peace and blessings, everyone. Have a good evening.